years old. I've lived what most would call a good life. A wife I adored, 2 wonderful kids who have kids of their own, a nice house with a paid-off mortgage. I did everything right, everything I was supposed to do. But every single night when the house is quiet and I close my eyes, I hear it, a ghost, the sound of a guitar, the one I put down 60 years ago and never had the courage to pick up again. I'm telling you my story today, not because my life was bad, but because in many ways it was wrong. It wasn't truly mine. And I need to tell you this, so you don't make the same quiet, devastating mistake.
When I was a boy, the world felt quieter. Or maybe I just listened better. There were no screens in every pocket, no endless river of noise to drown out your own thoughts. There was just the radio, playing scratchy songs from a world away. And a whole lot of silence. It was in that silence that I found music. Or maybe it found me. My older brother, Jack, went off to the war in Korea and left his old beat-up acoustic guitar in the back of his closet, like a forgotten soldier. I was maybe 14. I pulled it out one day. It was dusty, smelled of old wood and secrets, and it was missing a string. But I remember the first time I strummed those 5 remaining strings. A clumsy, dissonant chord, but it felt right. It was like learning a language I already somehow knew, but had forgotten how to speak. It felt like coming home. By the time I was 20, I was obsessed. That guitar wasn't just wood and wire anymore. It was an extension of my body, another limb. It was the only way I knew how to say the things I couldn't find words for. My friends and I, we started a band. We called ourselves the Ramblers. A silly name, I know. We weren't very good, not at first. We played in smoky bars where the air was thick with cheap beer and desperation, and at county fairs where we were just background noise for the prize-winning pigs. Our amps buzzed, our voices cracked. We wrote our own songs, clumsy, heartfelt poems about girls we were too scared to talk to, cars we couldn't afford, and the burning desire to see the world beyond the borders of our small, predictable town. It didn't matter that only 10 people were listening. When we played, when we played, I felt alive. I felt like I was made of electricity. For those 3 minutes on that tiny, sticky stage, I was exactly where I was supposed to be in the universe. The music wasn't just something I did, it was who I was. And then came the talk. Every young person with a dangerous dream has had the talk. Mine was on a cold Tuesday night at the kitchen table, under the harsh glare of the single overhead light, with my father. He was a good man, the best I've ever known. A factory worker his whole life. He'd get up in the dark, come home in the dark, his hands calloused and stained with grease. He spent 40 years of his life doing hard, honest, soul-crushing labor to provide for us, to give us a life he never had. He loved me, and because he loved me, he was terrified for me. I remember him looking at my hands, resting on the table. My fingertips were calloused, but not from work, from pressing steel strings against a fretboard. He sighed that heavy, tired sigh of his and said, "Son, this music thing, it's a fine hobby, but it's not a life. You have a good head on your shoulders. You're smart. You need a real profession, something stable, something you can count on when the applause stops. A man's job is to provide, to be reliable, to build something that lasts." He wasn't being cruel, he was being a father. He was trying to protect me from the poverty and the heart-stopping uncertainty that had haunted his own generation. He wanted me to have a safe life, a good life, and I, being a good son who loved and respected this man more than anyone in the world. I listened. The thought of disappointing him, of seeing that look of worry in his eyes for the rest of his life, was more terrifying than the thought of failing at music. So, I made a choice. A responsible choice. The right choice. I told him he was right. I remember the look of relief on his face. It was like I had lifted a mountain from his shoulders. A week later, I sold my guitar to a kid down the street for $20. I can still see the look of pure, unadulterated joy on his face as he ran off with it. and I can still feel the hollow, aching, silent feeling in my own chest as I closed the door. And just like that, the music stopped. I enrolled in the local college to study accounting. I became Tom, the accountant, and I was good at it. Numbers made sense. They were logical, predictable, safe. They didn't break your heart. I got a job at a respectable firm downtown. I wore a crisp shirt and a tie every single day. I got married to the most wonderful woman in the world, my Sarah. We bought this very house. We filled it with 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl. I did everything I was supposed to do. I provided. I was reliable. I built a good, stable life, just like my father wanted. A life anyone would look at from the outside and call a complete success. But no one sees the inside, do they? No one sees the man driving home from work in his sensible sedan, tapping out a forgotten rhythm on the steering wheel, a ghost of a song in his head. No one sees him lingering a little too long outside a bar where a live band is playing, standing in the cold, just to catch a few stray notes drifting through the door. No one knew that for 60 years, a part of me was still that 20-year-old kid on a smoky stage, feeling more alive and more himself than he ever would in a corner office with a nice view. My life was a well-built house with all the lights on, but there was no music playing inside. It was safe, it was quiet, and it was slowly, imperceptibly suffocating the man I was supposed to be. The years went by, as they do, like a river flowing to the sea. The kids grew up and started families of their own. I retired, got the gold watch, the handshake, the cake in the break room. Sarah and I had a quiet, comfortable life. And then she got sick. The last few months of her life were spent in this quiet house, when there was nothing left for the doctors to do, nothing left to do but sit with her and hold her hand. She was so weak, but her eyes were still so clear. She'd sometimes look at me with this soft, sad smile and say, "You know, Tommy, you never play for me anymore." And it was like a knife in my heart every single time. She was the only one who really knew. The only one who had seen that fire in me when I was young, and the only one who saw the empty, hollow space after it went out. She never blamed me. She understood why I'd made my choice. She just missed it. She missed me. The real me.
After she was gone, the silence in the house became a physical thing. It was unbearable. There was no TV loud enough, no radio station busy enough to fill the void she left. It was in that profound silence that I finally started to hear it again. That ghost, the echo of that old guitar, the ghost of the man I could have been, a younger, happier man who wasn't afraid to take a risk. And the regret, it wasn't a sharp pain anymore. It was a constant, dull ache in my chest, a weight I carried with me from room to room.
The turning point came last year. My grandson, a brilliant kid, he's 18. He's a phenomenal artist. He can draw anything, and it comes to life on the page. He got a full scholarship to a prestigious art school in New York, a golden ticket. But his father, my son, who is a practical, sensible man just like I taught him to be, he was worried. He wanted his boy to study business, to have a stable career. He asked me, his successful father, to talk to him, to talk some sense into him. And so I sat down with my grandson right here in this living room. He showed me his portfolio, his sketchbooks, and they were alive, full of passion and fire and undeniable truth. And as I looked at him, at his hopeful, terrified eyes, I didn't see a boy making a foolish mistake. I saw myself 60 years ago sitting at that kitchen table with my own father. And I knew with a certainty that shook me to my very soul that I could not let history repeat itself. I could not be the ghost that haunted his life too. I looked at my son, who stood there with his arms crossed, expecting me to back him up. And then I looked at my grandson, and I said, "Go to New York. Be poor, be scared, make 1,000 mistakes, but for God's sake, go and do the one thing that makes you feel alive. Don't you dare build a safe, stable, quiet life that feels like a tomb. I already did that for our family. One is enough. I had a stable life, a good life, but it was like listening to a beautiful song played on the wrong instrument. The notes were correct, but the music, the soul, was gone. Don't let anyone, not even the people you love who are just trying to protect you, talk you out of the music that is inside you. A stable life in a job you hate is not stability. It's the slowest, most respectable form of suicide. It is never too late to pick up the guitar. Whatever your guitar is, it's never too late to learn to play your own song, even if it's just for yourself in a quiet room. Please, for me, don't wait 60 years to learn that.